Ever feel like you've got this whole destiny thing kind of, looming over you?
Yeah.
Well, imagine that pressure, but like on a cosmic scale.
Oh, wow.
That's what we're diving into today. The mind of Krishna, a god wrestling with duty, desire, and some honestly, seriously relatable dilemmas. You've given us excerpts from the untold depths of Krishna's mind. And it's fascinating because we're not just talking about epic battles and, divine powers here.
Right.
We're going deeper into the heart of what made Krishna tick.
Yes.
And here's where it gets really interesting. We tend to picture gods as these serious, stoic beings, right?
Mhm.
But Krishna, he's described as this mischievous, playful kid.
Yeah.
Not exactly what you'd expect from the one destined to, save the world.
It's this surprising contrast that makes his story so compelling. Think about it. If someone naturally inclined towards joy can then shoulder the weight of the world, it makes their choices even more meaningful.
No, absolutely.
It wasn't just destiny. It was a deliberate stepping into a role he could have easily shied away from.
Okay, so let's talk about this idea of dharma, because it's
Yeah.
essential to understanding Krishna's motivations. It's not just about being a good guy, right? It's bigger than that.
Exactly. Dharma is more about maintaining cosmic order, a balance far more intricate than simply good versus evil. The source material illustrates this beautifully with the story of young Krishna and the serpent Kaliya.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Most of us would just try to, slay a giant venomous snake, right?
Right, yeah.
But Krishna listens. He recognizes Kaliya's acting out of fear and finds a way to resolve the situation without resorting to brute force.
He understood the serpent's motivations. And that, I think, is key to understanding Krishna. He seeks to understand the why behind the action, the driving force, not just react to the surface problem.
Which is especially interesting considering he was just a kid at this point. He was already thinking on a completely different level. And it's not just about battling mythical creatures,
Right.
This ability to see beyond the surface, to understand the why, it plays a huge role in all of Krishna's relationships, especially with Radha.
And this is where that youthful playfulness we talked about takes on a new dimension. In his love for Radha, we see a glimpse of what truly brings Krishna joy, a sense of peace that makes his ultimate choice even more poignant.
Okay, so for our listener who might not be, totally up on their Hindu mythology, let's talk about Radha for a second. She's not just a love interest, right?
Absolutely not. The source really emphasizes this. Radha is Krishna's confidante, the one who truly sees him and understands him, even when he struggles to understand himself.
Wow.
Their love isn't just a sweet side story. It's deeply intertwined with his destiny.
Which makes his eventual departure from Vrindavan that much harder to swallow, right?
Well, absolutely.
It wasn't just duty calling. He was leaving behind a love that brought him genuine peace and happiness. Talk about a dilemma.
Exactly. And it circles back to that idea of balance. The source makes it clear. His love for Radha, for the simplicity of life in Vrindavan, was real, powerful, but so was his duty to the wider world. It's a tension a lot of us can relate to, even if it's not, on a cosmic scale. That feeling when your heart wants one thing, but you have responsibilities, obligations.
You're telling me, and this is where that line from the source really hit me. Love sometimes requires sacrifice. Oof. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most loving act, is choosing the harder path, even if it means personal heartache.
And understanding that, I think, is key to unpacking Krishna's confrontation with Kamsa. Here we have the tyrannical king, the classic bad guy of the story. But even here, Krishna's approach is anything but straightforward.
Right. Most heroes would just swoop in, smite the evil king, end of story. But Krishna, as always, sees more to it than that.
Precisely. Our source emphasizes that Krishna doesn't just see Kamsa as evil incarnate. He recognizes the fear, the insecurity, the twisted sense of duty that has driven Kamsa to these terrible acts.
Yeah.
It's an unexpectedly nuanced perspective, especially considering this is the guy who tried to have Krishna killed as a baby.
It's like he almost gets, why Kamsa is the way he is.
Yeah.
That's pretty profound, to see your enemy's humanity like that.
And it speaks to that deeper understanding of Dharma we talked about, right?
Right.
Remember, it's not about simple revenge for Krishna.
No.
It's about restoring balance. And that brings us to that powerful moment from the source, where he says,
Oh, yeah.
"It is not I who destroys you, but your own deeds."
It's almost like he's saying Kamsa was, destined to self-destruct. His choices, literally created the path to his own downfall.
It's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And it makes you think. What's the takeaway for us listening, right? If even a god believes in consequences over revenge, how can WE apply that kind of thinking? to our own, messier lives?
It's a good question. Maybe it's about like recognizing that our actions have ripple effects, that we're all part of a bigger picture.
Exactly. It's not about, letting bad behavior slide, but understanding that real change, lasting change, requires a different approach. You can't just like fight fire with fire all the time.
So, okay, Krishna defeats Kamsa. Good triumphs over evil. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief. You'd think that's the end of the story, right? Happily ever after.
You'd think.
But our source paints a slightly different picture.
Because here's the thing about fulfilling a destiny. It doesn't erase the past. And even gods, it seems, miss the simpler times.
This is where it gets really relatable, honestly. Who hasn't felt that at some point, you know? You achieve a big goal, but there's still this part of you that misses how things used to be.
Exactly. And our source makes it clear. Krishna feels that loss. He misses the carefree joy of Vrindavan, that deep connection he had with Radha. Even with like the weight of the world on his shoulders, he still yearns for that simpler time.
It's a good reminder that even when we accomplish amazing things, life is still about growth, about change, about letting go.
Absolutely. And I think that's why this story still resonates with people, even after all these centuries. It reminds us that life, even for a god, isn't about reaching some perfect ending. It's about navigating the ups and downs, the love, the obligations, finding that balance in the middle of it all.
A journey we're all on, right? In our own way.
In our own way. And as we wrap up, I want to circle back to something this source mentioned about Krishna finding comfort in the small things. Music, nature, those simple joys. If a god with his power needs that outlet, what does that say about us? About how we find our own WN balance amidst the chaos?
Ooh, good question. What small moments of peace can you bring into your day?
Right. It's something to think about.
This has been a truly deep dive, and we want to thank our amazing listeners for sending in this fascinating material. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep seeking those moments of balance in your own incredible journey.